Modern science has done great things with surgery. So we don't want to throw allopathic medicine away, but allopathic medicine has thrown herbal medicine away. The Ayurvedic medical system was made illegal, punishable by death by the British. Our five-element body has been understood to a very sophisticated level for the last at least 5,000 years in both China and in India. And China admits openly that they learned this from India. Namaste, and welcome to Vedic Vidya. My name is Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavindra Rishi. Vedic Vidya is available exclusively on Citti Media, English channel. Our topic tonight is why is natural healing displacing allopathic medicine around the world? Or what does natural healing offer that interventionist medicine does not have? This is a goes around, comes around kind of question. It's tied into something that you wouldn't suspect at first, the concept of the later days of the Industrial Revolution, leading up to about 100 years ago, when fossil fuel energy was used to create sciences that had never existed before, and compounds and chemicals and additives and a variety of many things that no one had seen before. And so it turns out that the same science created poisonous foods which have led to outbreaks of diabetes on a massive scale, with not only too much sugar, but additives and many artificial things that have never been in the human food chain ever before. So, just for a moment, make one mental note that during the Industrial Revolution later stages, this creation of chemicals, chemical companies, pharmaceutical companies, making medicines, did receive an empowerment of some kind, and with it came a large amount of poisons and toxins that our civilization has been living on ever since. You could say we've been abusing our bodies with the toxins of the Industrial Revolution, and at times healing those bodies with the chemicals as medicines that came from that revolution. Question is, what is it that we've forgotten? What came before that? In what cultures did it arise? The answer is, in both China and in India, a style of medicine arose 5,000-10,000 years ago, which was shared all along the Silk Road between China and India. In fact, I'd like you to think that way, that trading was going across that route in all of the known places of civilization, who were all in touch with China and India in that particular way, that trading from both informed everyone. And both China and India are famous for their medical system that uses two things. First, natural components from the plant life of the earth and mineral life of the earth. And secondly, a knowledge of the body and how it's composed of the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. Our five-element body has been understood to a very sophisticated level for the last at least 5,000 years in both China and in India. And China admits openly that they learned this from India. And during that time, here's what you would know in order to stay healthy. First, you would know your body type. And every body type has more fire, or more water, or more earth, or more air, or more space. These are called in Sanskrit the doshas. In other words, everyone has a body type, which means it automatically requires a particular diet. This is not taught in our civilization. But this is taught to everyone in China, and I don't know these days, but throughout history, and in India for sure. This is still a medical system that has been around for thousands of years, whose job it was to give you a diet and particular herbs that brought your particular body back to balance. So this is missing in interventionist medicine, because interventionist medicine, which is both surgery and medicine as we now know it, also grew along with technology as we now know it. The most sophisticated of the two is the science behind surgery, which has now been taken to an incredibly high level. But in India, in 600 BC, a surgical text was published, written, and passed around, called the Sushruta Samhita, in which even cataract operations were performed. And another book came out called the Charaka Samhita, and it was a book of natural medicines and how you heal particular bodies. So let's just say that prior to fossil fuel energies, modern medicines, and modern technology, in India there was already profound surgical processes being practiced and a profound use of all the natural substances in nature. But here's the difference. Chinese medicine and the Ayurvedic medicine of India prevented disease by diet, herbs, and by teaching a kind of balance. So both of them would check the pulses of the body in order to know the state of the body within. And they could read that the way we nowadays read x-rays. They could feel which of your bodily organs was out of balance. They could see the symptoms by your urine, by your stool, by various forms of examination. And then they would give you a regimen, a lifestyle regimen. Now, where this is most sadly missing in our societies, still, is in our children. Just think of it this way. By the time a child is 5 years old and goes to school, an Ayurvedic doctor or a Chinese doctor would know their body type, know what foods to feed them and what foods not to feed them, at what season of the year, under what circumstances of climate. All of that was the basis of medicine and healing for thousands and thousands of years in the cultures that took it to a very high level. To give you an example, when Chairman Mao was conducting the revolution in China, there were about, the saying is, 18 million landlords who had tied up the whole civilization by dominating everyone through owning property. So communism in China, as we saw it happen historically, was to cure a greater problem. It may be that they created another one, but it was to get rid of that bottleneck of landowners who were abusing the privilege of ownership. Now, Mao was so intent upon modernizing that he was throwing Chinese medicine out the door. And he got an eye infection, and the allopathic medical doctor tried to heal it and couldn't. A Chinese doctor was brought in, and he healed it in 2 days. And so then Chairman Mao said, wait a minute, let's keep this Chinese medicine, but we'll force everyone to share their ideas. So there's China with an intact Chinese medical system. Now, switch over to India. During the era of colonization, when the British were colonizing India, they made Ayurvedic medicine, the medical practice similar to Chinese, the ones that had been sharing with each other for thousands of years, along the Silk Road. The Ayurvedic medical system was made illegal, punishable by death by the British. And from then until today, natural Ayurvedic medical practices have been present in India but somewhat displaced by colonization. But this makes both India and China the two civilizations in the modern world with doctors from both disciplines who examine the patient and use their techniques to heal them. So this does mean that both systems have value. But allopathic medicine, because it's been run by large enterprises, has focused upon expensive and non-natural treatments. So its doctors do not receive more than 3 credit hours of dietary training in becoming MDs. Think of that. It actually means that allopathic doctors themselves, at least in the US, their life expectancy is 53. That's seriously below the national average for males and females because their lifestyle is terrible. So here's the irony. Your allopathic doctor probably has no concept of diet, herbs, and various techniques that balance in relationship to your body type. They have no idea of their body type, aside from blood type and a few statistics that can be measured. But they do not know that there's a particular body type that reacts to particular climates and particular foods in specific and scientific measurable ways. This is the ancient legacy. Now, an amazing thing happened in India during the Genome Project. I'd like you to focus on this. Genome Project was studying our genetic structure, so the most advanced of modern science. Particularly, they were doing a study on how genetics influences the body's reaction to certain medicines that were used to cure cancer. And this was conducted in China and in India. And in India, when they did it, the doctors conducting this, allopathic doctors, not Ayurvedic doctors, not natural, but the standard scientific doctors, saw 3 groups of persons that were the result of their experiment. So what they did is they gave a particular medicine to a particular genotype and then wanted to see if there were particular groupings of response. And they did see 3 groups: the slender people, the muscular people, and the slightly holding more weight people. These are called in Ayurveda Vata, Pitta, Kapha, or the air and space body type, the fire body type, and the water and earth body type. Here's what they proved then, that genetics can tell you when someone has that kind of body type. And so can Ayurvedic doctors, and with their processes of measuring and seeing, they see the body type. So the same thing that can be seen by genetic research shows up in the ancient paradigm of the 3 body types, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, in the Ayurvedic medicine. So where's the problem? Where's the dilemma? Well, you see, allopathic medicine has made itself the only medical system for a long time because it's connected to the sale of pharmaceuticals, expensive cancer treatments, and a variety of other emergency measures. So let me give you a way to think of it. Since we're in the midst of this COVID situation, there is an emergency response to a virus, and then there are a few allopathic medicines that are well known to heal someone who has any kind of flu, including COVID. There is no evidence in our medical system of what lifestyle does to the body, but it's well known now, and with all flus, this is just a cousin of all the flus, that certain vitamins, vitamin D, vitamin A, certain substances, certain herbs, keep the body with a strong immune system. So let's think of it as, is it strengthening your immune system, or is it a medicine fighting against something? Well, the ideal would be to have both, wouldn't it? Because the best of both worlds. After all, if you get in an automobile accident, you need surgery. Modern science has done great things with surgery. So we don't want to throw allopathic medicine away, but allopathic medicine has thrown herbal medicine away, whether it's First Nations, whether it's Chinese, or whether it's from India. My proposal to all of you is that, isn't it not the case that you've watched your diet more carefully during COVID? If you pay attention at all, you have. Amongst all the other precautions, haven't you been thinking, what would keep me healthy? Well, if you haven't, it's because you weren't taught that when you were young. But if you've been really paying attention, you would have vitamins that prevent. Then you'd know doctors who know the flu medicines. You'd know doctors who know the flu medicines that actually do heal any kind of flu, including COVID. And then you'd also want to know the advanced measures that could bring someone back from death's door if they got to an extreme state of the disease. But during COVID, there has been no talk of two things. The previous medicines that were known to cure the flu, and there are wonderful discussions of this online, so I'm not going to get into a deep one. But that's one thing. There are medicines that people should be taking in case they get it, allopathic medicines. And then there are many substances that would protect their particular body type, their particular nature, by having those herbs, by having those vitamins, by having those substances, which are all from the natural category. Then you have the full conversation. Your lifestyle, your diet, your body, the climate, the things that support that best. Then you have other allopathic medicines that are known to cure the flu. Then you have the extreme of emergency support when you're elderly or otherwise life-threatened. But here's the thing. Natural healing protects us from the ravages of time. The basis of Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine has been to prevent the interventionist necessity, to prevent the imbalance becoming a disease, to teach us to live in balance and harmony. Isn't it time we had the best of both worlds? Perhaps this is the conclusion that we're supposed to be coming to during this international experience of a particular form of flu. That was everyone prepared with a correct diet? Were they living a healthy life? Or were they eating foods full of toxins and poisons? Were they poisoning themselves naturally with too much white sugar? All of these substances. And I must say that our corporations have been making billions of dollars selling poisonous food to the world and getting them addicted to it. So we're in an international crisis of health right now. But the correct answer to the question is, what happens if we mix natural healing, which is a science, with interventionist medicine? Then, let me ask you a question. Here's the question I know how you'll answer. So, if I said, let's go down to the hospital and have a good meal, what would you say? No, please, not that. No such thing as a good meal at a hospital. But Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine is conducted by the way you cook the food, the herbs you put in it, and make food into medicine carefully produced to heal you and keep you healthy. What if we brought these disciplines together and took the best of all those healing worlds? And this is the thought that is being produced as the offspring of COVID. How do we live healthy? How do we restore health naturally? And how do all the medical systems of the world cooperate and become an asset for everyone? Vedic Vidya means shining the light of truth. Tune in to Vedic Vidya on Citti Media English channel Sunday nights at 7 p.m. IST. My name is Kavinder Rishi, Jeffrey Armstrong. See you next time, and have a namaste.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.